As always, thank you, random voice. All right. Secondly on the list, let's go ahead and share the desktop. There we go. All right, we're not on loops. Contents. How's everybody feeling about functions? I do want to hear that.
Surprisingly understanding them.
What was that?
I said I'm surprisingly understanding them, and I really don't know how.
I'm happy to hear that. After my debacle at the very end of class, I'm just happy to hear that functions are clicking.
Yeah.
So great. How about everybody else? How's everybody else feeling about functions? Silence is good, maybe?
Good.
Okay, I'll take it. Got 2 positive reviews. I'll keep it at that. All right. Well, if you're not comfortable with functions, hopefully after the studio will be a little bit better. So let's hop right into it. 802. Okay. 10.11 studio functions. As always, I have not done the pre-work yet, or not the pre-work. I have not done the studio, so this will be completely, well, with complete virgin eyes. So let's see. 10.11 studios functions. The reverse method flips the order of the elements within an array. However, reverse does not affect the digits or characters within those elements. So let's go ahead and see that. So it looks like what it means is that hello and world will get reversed. Oh, I'm sorry. The individual values will be reversed, but the actual contents, the values will be reversed, but the actual value itself will not be reversed. So it just means that we'll flip all of the values of the array, basically reverse the indexes right there. So I get that. So let's have some fun by creating a process that reverses both the order of the entries and in an array and the order of the characters within the individual elements. Remember that a function should perform only one task. Exactly, you need to split out those tasks. To follow this best practice, we will solve the array reversal by defining 2 functions. One that reverses the characters in a string, and one that flips the orders of the entries in the array. All right. How do everyone feel about the studio? This is already getting interesting.
Pretty good.
Pretty good? Okay, all right, good to hear. So let's do 10.11.1, reverse the characters. In the composing function section, we examined a function that reverses characters in a string, yes. Using the split and join methods, let's rebuild that function now. Define and that one, the statement will all be in the replit, so I'm just gonna go ahead, let's just hop into this replit. We got A through F here. I'm gonna go ahead and fork on the top right. As always, I'll bring it over to my repo under my name. I can know that by the top left here. It says Kyle Wegner 1 or Kyle Wagner, depending if you're German. All right, we want to completely reverse an array by flipping the orders of the entries and flipping the order of the characters in each element. Define a reverse, or sorry, I'm on 1A now. Define a reverse characters function. Give it one parameter, which will be a string to reverse. Okay, well, we can do that. We're not gonna do any of the logic just yet. We're gonna create that function. To create a function, we always know what word do we start with? Function. So we're gonna start with function. It also gave us the name of the function. So I'm gonna use what they gave us, reverse characters. Give it one parameter, which will be the string to reverse. Well, it says that the parameter is gonna be string to reverse. So I'm gonna say str for string to reverse. That's what I'm gonna name the parameter, just for my own note taking kind of. Remember, the parameter can be whatever you wanna name it. It's up to your creativity. And then as always, we remember those curly brackets. So we have begun now to create our function. So let's move on to B. Within the function, split the array or split the string into an array and reverse the array. Okay, I'm gonna copy that into here because that's gonna be part of this function. I put a tab there to indent it just so I know it's within the function because it does really help out and keeps away those headaches. I'm gonna close this on the left side here too. I'm gonna shrink that a little bit, just making more room. All right, within the function, split the string into an array. So split the string into an array. Well, string to reverse, str is gonna be a string. And if I know I need to split it, I'm gonna have to save that content into a variable because we're gonna use the function split. So I'm gonna call it let string str as arr, string as array. And of course, I just abbreviated just a little bit to save us a few characters. str to reverse, and then it says split it. To split it, you use the function split. To split it at every character, we put in empty quotes here. You can do it like this, or you can do it like this. It doesn't make a difference. And then reverse the array. Well, to reverse it, as it said in our notes at 10.11, we're going to use the dot reverse method. And if you just hear me say dot reverse method, it's just me mentally saying dot there because I know I'm going to have to put a dot and then reverse. Because this is a function within the string. Okay, so I just reversed this array. I finished B, but I don't exactly know if anything's working. So naturally, I'm going to console log my string as array to see if I am still working. I define my function here, but if I define it, what else do I need to do? I created it, but to make it run, I need to what?
Call it.
Call it.
Call it. I gotta call it. Give it a phone call. Or I just started typing call. Reverse characters. And then someone give me a string to reverse. What are we feeling?
Ice cream.
Ice cream. Sure, why not? I was thinking it for a second. It's like, did they give me something that if I reverse it, it's the same string, like race car or something?
Right.
No, that'd be
Taco cat.
Taco cat. I'll use that as another example. I love that. All right, reverse characters. Let's go ahead and run this. All right, it looks like we are reversing ice cream successfully here. That is what we want to see. Awesome, awesome. It is just going to give me like that. All right, it just doesn't look right. But anyway, it ends with I, but it starts with that, meaning we definitely reversed this successfully. So part B is complete. All right. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to remove this function because it did not ask me to put that there yet, and the console log. We just wanted to test out part B. Let's go on to C. Use join to create the reverse string and return that string from the function. Okay, for those who don't know join, when we have an array, we have individual characters. An array of a string is individual characters, like we see here on the right-hand side. To turn this back into a string, we need to join them back together. So we use the dot join method. So I'm going to append that onto my dot reverse. Let's say dot join. And it's no longer a string as array. This is not an array anymore because we just joined it together. So it's going to be the reverse string. So I'm going to say reversed str. Again, what I do, I'm going to take the C up here so we know it was part of this function. I'm going to console log this and see if we are still okay. Reversed str. And then I'm going to call to the function reverse characters. And now it's going to be Taco Cat. I have a funny story about Taco Cat, but we don't have time. One day. All right, we're going to run this.
You can't just like tell us a little bit and then say you're tell us the story another day.
Okay. Well, it's not even a funny story.
Taco Cat is going to be the same thing as race car, isn't it?
Oh,
wait,
who
never
gave me
mind.
Taco Cat? Oh, gosh darn it. It is the back. Oh, I forgot what they call those. Okay, well, we'll talk about this in a second. Let's explain something that just happened on the right-hand side. Look at this.
It's a palindrome.
Palindrome, thank you. So look on the right-hand side. What's highlighted? We can join our characters back together, but it has commas between each. We don't want that. So what I didn't put in here is what to join with. I need to put empty quotes in here too. To tell it, I don't want to join with a comma. I want to join it with nothing. I want it nothing in between my characters as you're joining my array up. So now I rerun this and I get Taco Cat. That's Taco Cat backwards. I don't know. But anyway, it is Taco Cat, but it's reversed as a string now. And we can double check. We'll do a type of. Make sure now it's a string. It is now a string. So we're doing good here. If you want to know the quick story about Taco Cat, it's not even a funny story. at my work, we had to run tests on our code. We'll learn about JUnit testing in the future, unit testing. But as our tests are running, it takes a long time. So we had this taco cat that runs across the screen for like hours and everything. So we just watched
Okay.
hours. So not even funny. But anyway, that's our taco cat. So I know taco
All
cat.
right. Thanks for
So
sharing.
one question.
Anytime.
Hello, one question.
Yes, please go ahead.
In the reverse characters, we are giving a string right now. What happens if we give an array?
Give what an array?
Yeah.
Are you talking about passing an array in as a
Instead of taco cat, if we pass an array, what will happen?
Absolutely.
I
So let's
tried
run that
doing
and
that.
see. We're going to get a big blow up because what's happening is that we expected a string here. We know that because .split is a function only found on strings. There is no dot split on arrays. You can't split an array. It's already split. So we're going to get a big old error saying that .split is not a function for str to reverse. Because again, you're passing in now string to reverse as an array. That's not going to fly. So you need to make sure that we're keeping track of what our data types are that we're passing through to these functions.
Okay.
Great question.
So the dot reverse, was that just already pre-filtered into when we opened this studio?
So it's called a native method, meaning it's right out of the box. It comes with JavaScript. So we don't have to bring any packages. Yeah, absolutely. So split is like a native function. Reverse and join are all something you'll find in every JavaScript language. We don't have to bring in an external package. An external package being like readline sync. So yeah, great question. Okay, great question so far, everybody. Let's go ahead and remove that console log again and calling this, and let's keep moving on. D, below the function, define and initialize a variable to hold a string. Well, that's easy enough. Give me a third string. What's another one we're gonna do?
Foxy Grandpa.
Oh my gosh, I'm gonna go with Grandpa. There we go. So my string Grandpa. So we have completed D. On to E. Use console log reverse character array my variable name to call the function and verify that it works correctly. All right, let's take that up there. So the next thing we're going to do is it says use console log reverse character array and then my variable name. Well, we don't have my variable name. That's not defined. What I defined was my string. So I'm going to say my str. Remember, our variable name actually has to be defined. This doesn't exist in this program. So there we go. Let's go and run this and see if it was working properly. Oh, you know what who can tell me what I'm missing here? Why didn't we get anything back? We actually did get something back. We got back undefined. What am I missing here?
Return.
I heard it. I'm missing a return. I didn't get anything back from my function because I'm not returning anything back. That's why I got undefined, meaning nothing. So I need to return my reverse string. The actual string we reversed and did all this fun stuff on. So let's go and rerun this and now make sure it's working. There we go. Now we're getting back our reversed Grandpa. Awesome. All right, let's keep moving on. Use method chaining to reduce the lines of code within the function. Well, unfortunately, I already did that. This is called method chaining or function chaining, however you want to refer to it as. I did .split and then I did .reverse and then I did .join. So technically, that is what I just did here. So we don't get to see much fun stuff on that. We can, well, let's see. Does it say we have to? Well, technically we can
undo it. What would it look like if you had
what would it look like without the method chaining? Because I think
for sure.
was trying to do it the slow way.
Yeah, undo it.
Okay, undo it. All right. So we're going to so I'll just say string to reverse is now into reverse string. So I'm going to say reverse string. So we have to split it first. So we say reverse string dot reverse or equals reverse string dot split. And again, we split it between each character, which to do that, we pass empty quotes into the parameter here. So that was the first step. Then we need to keep going. So we say reversed string equals reverse string dot, what was the next thing? Oh, reverse. We got to reverse it. So we say dot reverse. And then we got to keep going. So we say reversed string equals reverse. Oh my gosh, I cannot spell reverse, even though I did it a million times. Dot, the last thing was join. We need to join on empty quotes again, because we want nothing between our characters. And then we'll return our reverse string. So we run this again, make sure everything's working, and we still get grandpa. Pass in another thing right here, where we'll say pizza. Run that, and we get pizza backwards.
So I got grandpa, but I also got an error message.
Well, look at what the error message says, look at that line, and then reason why you're getting it. So what does the error message say?
It says reverse string is not, reverse str is not defined. And I kind of like, copy
So what does that mean?
what you were doing.
So what does that mean if it's not defined?
It does. It's not connected to anything, right?
If it's not defined, that means you've never created the variable, meaning that reverse string, how you spelt it, doesn't have a let in front of it anywhere. You never defined it. We never created that variable. That's what that error means.
But the grandpa still works.
You'll have to double check. Remember, JavaScript is pretty forgiving, but double check this code that you're seeing on the screen and compare it to yours very, very closely. But if you still have that question at the end, we can definitely take a look at it.
Okay.
All right. So we used method chaining to do that. We kind of did that make sense to the people who wanted to see it kind of deconstructed?
Yeah,
Is that looking a little bit better?
Kyle, I had a question. If we kept it the first way, like the first time you did it, before like breaking it down to the second way you did it, is it okay? It's not going to mess anything up later?
The way you're describing, the way you've done it, is method chaining. That's what part F wants you to do. So I deconstructed to show you what another method would be before F. But yes, what you did is perfectly fine, and it's what step F wants you to do.
Okay.
So that's why I'm going to do that right now. So I'm going to method chain. I'm going to take split, I'm going to take reverse, and I'm going to do the join. There you go. So now I rerun this to make sure pizza is still backwards, and there we go. This is successful method chaining.
And when you mean method chaining, you're just meaning like, you're just putting the methods together on one line, right? That's it?
So what it means by chaining is that we know it goes sequentially, but as we chain, it goes from left to right. So let's explore that. We have our reverse string here equals string to reverse. We're passing in pizza. Our first method is the split method. They're chained, or they're called by using that dot. That's how you refer to a method that's in that object. So dot split. So it's going to take pizza, split it into an array. Then we do dot reverse. We're going to reverse pizza backwards, but still in an array. And then we say dot join. So and then we join them back together, and pizza is now a string again. Method chaining is the process of going left to right and using that dot between each method you want to run. So to answer your question, yes, just don't forget about the period. It's a very important piece to that chain.
Okay, thank you.
Absolutely. Any other questions? All right. In that case, we have completed E. So let's go back and see what else we got. So 10.11.1 is completed. So it looks like we're going to have 1 through 3 here. So let's go ahead and see let's see what this means. Okay, those are the strings we use we did use more fun ones. We don't need to use those. All right, 10.11.2, reverse digits. All right, the reverse characters function works great on strings, but what if the argument passed to the function is a number? Okay, let's go and see. What is it going to do? I'm curious. 1, 2, 3, 4. Oh no! Reverse dot split is not a function. Can anybody tell me why we're getting this error? We saw the same exact error when we tried to pass in an array, if that gives anyone a hint.
It's a number, it's not a string.
Very good. Dot split only exists on strings. We're passing it in a number. So that is not going to work. It's not going to fly. So let's go back to our studio and see what we need to do. All right. Results in an error since split only works on strings. Try it. We did. When past a number, we want the function to return a number with all the digits reversed. Not that. Okay, so let's go ahead. It says A through E. Let's go in here and I put this back to my string so it doesn't keep breaking. We're going to come down here. Use the split method does not work on numbers, but we want the function to return a number with all the digits reversed, not the string 4321. Add an if statement to your reverse characters function to check. What? No, stop it. Choose my statement. Stop it, Replit. Anyway, add an if statement to your reverse characters function to check if the type of parameter. If the type is of string, return the reverse string as before. If it's a number, convert the parameter to a string, reverse the characters, then convert it back into a number, return a reverse number. They're being very needy on this one. So let's go ahead. I'm going to comment out this function, and we're just going to bring this code down to keep going. So I'm going to comment that out there. So let's go ahead and bring this function on down. All right. Oh, geez, I don't even know where we're at. There we go. Reverse. No, we need one more. Okay, so we bring in the function. I'm going to take out these comments here. And it says we need to add an if statement. So I'm going to take that, add an if statement. So I'm going to start it right here. If. And it says we need to check the type of parameter. So what we have to do is say type of. We've seen type of multiple times before. We needed to check the type of it. And it looks like we need to check the parameters type, str to reverse. And we're going to see if it's equal to a string. And it says if it's equal to a string, we just do the same thing. Now, one thing I want to talk to you about is that it says string to reverse. This is no longer an acceptable name for a parameter. It can't always be a string. Sometimes it'll be a number. So I'm going to say variable to reverse. Why not? Or value. I'm going to say value. That sounds better. Value to reverse, because a value can be a string, a number, a Boolean, etc. So say value to reverse, and now I need to do this. So what I'm going to do now, it says to do it as normal. So if it's a string, we do that. Now, what I'm going to do here is something we didn't talk about in class per se. But our return statement, as we know, means get out of the function. But we don't always have to put it at the bottom of our functions. We can put it wherever we want to exit our code. So what I'm going to do here is that I'm going to return after we're done of the if statement. I don't want to return, or I don't want it to keep going after this, because once it's reversed, that's all I need this function to do. So I'm going to exit there right on line 33. So that being the case, let's go ahead and I'm going to copy this code up here, and let's make sure that our function still works. I'm going to say, yeah, launch code. Why not, as always? There we go. Oh, string to reverse is not defined. Let's go ahead and take a look at that. I didn't switch all my parameters over. I need to replace that right there. So now let's go ahead and rerun it one more time. And there we go. We get launch code still reversed. If I pass in a number here, 1, 2, 3, 4, I'm going to get back nothing, because that case is not being dealt with yet. We don't have anything for numbers. So that's what we're going to do now. We can do this in two different ways. We can use an else, meaning that if it's not a string, it must be a number. But logically, we know there's more things that just exist than strings and numbers. What if it's a Boolean? Well, then we're going to have a problem, because .split doesn't exist on Booleans either. And this number conversion of a Boolean that we're going to do here doesn't exist for Booleans either. So I want this case only to be dealt with for the types of numbers. So I want an else if here. I'm going to say type of value to reverse equals 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 number. Now this if statement will only be triggered if the type is of number. That's what we want. So let's go ahead and explore what we need to do there. Oops, Okay, so what it says is that if it's a type string, we do the same thing. If it's a type number, convert the parameter to a string. Okay, let's start with that. We're gonna take baby steps here. I'm gonna say let num as a string. And how do we convert a number to a string? Anybody got it for me?
Num.
Capital string.
I think we can do string. Yeah, we can do that, and we say value to reverse. So this is one way. Another way also is that you could have done
number of
value to reverse dot toString. Either of these will convert a number to a string.
Oh, okay.
We're converting numbers to strings. So now we have our number as a string. So let's go ahead and keep going. Now it says that we need to do all the reversing stuff. Well, luckily we already have code that does that. So let's bring that down here. Let's say num as a string, and I'm going to do that num as a string dot split dot reverse dot join. Now, if I return this right now, it's not what we want it to be, but we'll go ahead and look at what it is. Return this, and it's 4321, but I believe if we take a closer look of it, run that, it's still a string. We did a type of, it's still a string. That's not what our stuff wants. It wants us to be a number. So what's one last step we need to do?
Change it to a number.
Very good. How do we do that?
Convert it back.
Number.
Number.
We need number and say num as string. This is how we convert a string into a number. So let's go and return this. Now our type of is of number. Let's actually see what the value is. Very good, 4321. So we're reversing it by converting it to a string, splitting it to an array, reversing it, joining it back together, converting it to a number. We just went through a larger process for a number. So I'll leave it here for a half second. Any questions about these two cases that we just did?
Just wanted to clarify: is there's not going to be a two number function then, right? It's only two string.
There is no two number. No,
okay.
Only two string.
Okay, cool.
Okay, good. I want to make sure I have turned on that. Okay, awesome. All right, be sure to print out the result returned by the function to verify that your code works. Do this before moving on to the next exercise. Well, just in luck, that's exactly what we did.
I have an error that says illegal return statement. Might we do something wrong here?
Well, you gotta, I was gonna make something about like that, that return statement doing something illegal, but I can't think of a joke right now. Illegal return statement, that's a interesting one. I don't get those very often. I'm gonna say yes, check where your returns are. Make sure it's within your functions. Remember, returns can only be within your functions. But if we have time at the end, we can take a look at specific questions and specific issues. If you do have the time, feel free to direct message me that code. And if we have that time, we'll definitely take a look at it. All right, we're on to part 3 now. Let's go ahead and see what part 3 says. We're gonna come down here to 10.11.3, complete reversal. Now we're ready to finish the complete reversal process. Create a new function with one parameter, which is the array we want to change. The function should, and all of this stuff. I don't want to read it. Let's go into the actual program here. Create a new function with one parameter, which is the array we want to change. The function should, okay, so it doesn't tell us a name. So I'm going to come down here and I'm going to start creating that function. So function, and I'm going to call it reverse my array. And then it takes in one parameter, the array. So there we go. We've created our function, the start of it. Define and initialize an empty array. Well, it doesn't tell me within or without of my function, so I'm a little confused there. So as of right now, I'm going to say let my array be on the outside of the function. If need be, we'll bring it in. Loop through the old array. Okay, I have a hunch that they're going to want to bring in that old array. Let's go and start that blank array for each element in the old array. I'll reverse character to flip it. Add the reverse string to the array defined in part A. Okay, well, reading ahead, looks like we're gonna need that. So I'm gonna put that within my function. All right, so it says define an empty array. I'm gonna take that where we did that. There we go. Loop through the old array. All right, so we need to loop through the array. What kind of loop are we gonna use?
For.
For, very good. I'm gonna say let I equal 0. And someone help me out here. What are we gonna put here?
My dot length.
The array dot length, very good. I++, because we want to count up here in this array. For each element in the old array, call the reverse characters to flip the characters or digits. Okay, so reverse characters, parentheses, and then how do we get something specifically for that index out of the array?
I.
Very good. Talk me all the way through it. What do we need to put here?
The brackets I.
The brackets I, but we need to say what we're getting out of. So what do we need to put on here first?
The array.
The array. But very good. We need to put those square brackets then at the end of it. Remember, we need to dictate very strongly what array we're going to call to get that index I out of the array. So there we go. We have that. And it says for each element in the array, call that to reverse flip the characters or the digits. All right, but we're not saving this information anything. So it just sends chills down my back. We need, if we're gonna make this function do something and return something, we need to remember it. So I'm gonna read D and see if that's what we need to do. Add the reverse string or number to the array defined in part A. Okay, well, I'm gonna save what comes back here into a variable. So I'm gonna say reversed value. And then it says add it to the new array. So I'm gonna say my array, and then how do I add something to an array? Who can tell me?
Push.
Very good, push. We're gonna push into that array. And I'm gonna push that value, reversed value. How would I take something out of the array? What's something that we could use?
Index of?
Index of will get the location of something in an array. Push pushes something into the array. How do we get something out? It's what I'm gonna say Chicago people would call soda.
Pop.
We're gonna pop. Very good.
Hammer.
Pop out of the array. That's how we can remove the last item out of the array. We're not gonna use pop right now, but I wanted to just see how everyone's feeling about that. So push, we're gonna push into the array. Very good. Okay, so we are pushing our values into the array. So, well, let's take this. What are we doing, Kyle? You gotta work me through here. So B, for each element of the old array, flip the characters. That's what we did here on this line. Add the reversed string to the array. That's what we did down here using push. Return the final array, the reversed array. Now let's talk about where to put the return. If I put the return here, and I try to say my array, how many times is my loop going to iterate?
Once.
Oh, very good. Once. It's going to do it once. No matter how many things I pass into my array, what's going to happen sequentially is that it's coming to my function. 51 gets hit. It makes a new array. We go to the for loop. I 0. We start looping. Let reversed array do its thing. Do my array.push, and then what happens on our first iteration? We immediately return. Mic drop, we're out. So do we want it here?
No.
We do not want it here.
Outside.
We want it outside that loop. We need to really make sure where we're putting that very powerful keyword return. So I'm gonna put it down here. My array goes there. At the end of the function. Still within that function, we always gotta make sure it's within the function. Just make sure it's not within other brackets here. Hence, again, why we do all of this, this indenting, so I can tell exactly where my for loop ends and my function ends, so I can put that return exactly where it needs to be. So there we go. We completed E. Excuse me. Oh my gosh, allergies. All right. Be sure to print out the results from each test case in their order to verify your code. All right, so let's go ahead and do that. We're gonna come down here. Well, I'm gonna take out these spaces. So what I'm gonna do is say console log, and then what's the function we need to call?
Reverse my array.
My array.
Very good. Reverse my array. And then we're going to say array test as array test 1 is going to be the parameter. Array test 1. So we pass that in as the parameter in that mouth. We got to feed our function something so it can poop out something awesome. So let's go ahead and run that one. And it looks like not only are we flipping capitalized word potato and apple, but we're also flipping the value as well. We're doing exactly what we need to do. Now let's get a little bit more complicated. Let's do this guy. Excuse me. Wow, I'm burpy. We're going to do this right there, and then we're going to do, instead of array test 1, we're going to do array test 2. And run that again. We're on a good streak. All right, what if it's strings and numbers? Final test, array test 3. Run that, and we have liftoff, everyone. That's what we want to see. Right, thank you. I'm happy we did it.
Kyle, quick question. Don't we have to also reverse the actual
Yeah, that's what I was gonna say too.
So
like
we
it's-
did. Oh my gosh.
we need to reverse the entirety of the
Oh my gosh, we
of
don't
the
have
arrays.
liftoff. We blew up. No, that you are absolutely right. Thank you. Yes, I was like, why is this too easy? We're just going to flip the characters and digits, add the number, array define part 1, return the final reversed array.
You can just do my dot reverse, right?
Yeah, we can do dot reverse here if we wanted to. But what if we didn't want to use dot reverse in this? So now it's reversed. So now we're seeing capitalized word first. What if we didn't want to do that? Well, we can do another way. Wouldn't that be fun? Let's see it. What if instead of counting up on our array, we count from the back to the front, right? Let's do it. We're going to do I equals the array dot length minus 1, and then greater than or equal to 0, and then I minus. Run that one. We got the same exact result. So there are 2 ways we could have approached that. So any questions besides all of them? Anything at all? No, we all got it? Everybody ready for the test? There's a quiz at the end of this.
I guess I have a question. Kyle, would it technically not be correct if, like I got the words backwards and I got them in the backward order, but they don't have the array brackets and they don't have the quotation marks. Like I literally just have words, no commas, no nothing.
So it sounds like you joined a little bit too much there. If there's no brackets, that means you're dealing with a string. So you joined something somewhere.
Okay.
Yeah. So I'm gonna I'd say double check. Of course, use this code as a reference if you want, but double check where your joins are. Make sure you're looking at the story that your code is telling you. Like, are you joining there? Do you want to make it a string at that moment? So I'd say double check those.
Okay.
All right. Any other questions?
Hey, Kyle.
Yeah, what's going on, Melanie?
Oh, finally. I've been trying to talk to you this whole time, and my cat stepped on my laptop, and I lost my audio.
The cat doesn't want you to learn. What the heck? What's going on?
But anyway, when you did the let I equal the array minus 1, is that something that like would typically make your coding easier if you knew the objective was to do this all backwards?
So this technically wouldn't be easier. I'd say the dot reverse is a lot easier in my mind. I would like to go that route. I was showing this as an alternative. So I would always go with the dot reverse route. If you truly need to reverse something instead of counting backwards, that's my personal preference. Just because dot reverse is less characters, less typing than a whole for loop to reverse it. Did you have any questions of why it was the array dot length minus 1?
No, I understand. I get the loops very well, but
Awesome.
just when you switched it like that, we were talking about stuff in our group, and it kind of blew my mind for a second. Like, wait a minute, if this is easier, but it's not easier. So I'm just
Remember,
gonna
there's a
let it go.
million ways to do one thing in coding. So that's why I'm just showing multiple different ways. So either one I'm going to not say is necessarily easier. It's whatever clicks the most with your personal developing logic in coding. If you like for loops the best, instead of doing these chains, go for the for loop. But if dot reverse just seems simpler, go for that as well.
I'm just looking for the work smarter, not harder.
Well, yeah, the littlest amount of typing you can do is the best way to do it. But yeah.
Okay, thanks.
For sure, for sure. All right, so we have finished step 3 there. So let's keep moving. 4, bonus mission. All right, everyone, we made it to the bonus mission. So if you need to hop off, feel free, but we're going to the end. All right, define a function with one parameter that will be a string. The function must do the following and then a bunch of words. I don't want to read the words. Let's go in here. I click that replit link. I'm going to fork it as always. It's going to fork. Okay, define a function with one parameter, which will be a string. The function will do the following. As always, before I even start reading those other words, I'm going to create my function because that's what it says I need to do, and I'm in a comment, so I cannot do that. Why are you switching up comments on me, launch code? Function. Oh, I don't even know what this thing's supposed to do yet. When I don't know what a function is going to do, and you'll see this a lot of times in programming, it's called foo. It's just literally a placeholder word. I actually does mean something in military speak. I forgot, someone told me once. It's not a graceful term, but it's funny. Anyway, we'll just leave foo right now. We'll change that name here in a second. And it's going to take in one parameter and be a string. So I'm going to say str param, which means string parameter. I haven't seen any specifics yet, so let's keep moving on. Have a clear descriptive name. Wow, we did not do that one. Well, you haven't even told me what we're doing yet. Retrieve only the last characters from the string's length of 3 or less. Only the last characters. Okay. Well, you were just asking for so much without giving me anything here. All right, retrieve only the last character from strings with lengths of 3 or less. I don't even know a name for that. What would we name that?
Can you collapse your files?
What was it?
Can you collapse your files?
Oh, of course, of course. There you go. So let's go ahead and call it get last character. And then I'm going to say string, str. So get last character, it's describing what the function is going to do. So that's why I have that. Retrieve only the last character from strings with lengths of 3 or less. So I'm going to take that in. That's going to be a very important thing. Have a clear descriptive name. I think we have a better one now. All right, there we go. Oh, I get what you're doing. Okay, I'm like, what the heck are you trying to do? We need both of these things. All right. So we have 2 cases here. That's what it's saying. Retrieve only the last character from strings of 3 or less. So what I need to do here, just immediately telling me I need to make an if statement. I need to check something. So it's going to say if this string str.length is less than or equal to 3, then I need to get those last characters. So that's where B is going to play a role. Otherwise, if it's longer than 3, then I need to retrieve the first 3 characters from the strings with the length larger than 3. So that was with that if statement we had to do there. Any questions on that? That was a little tricky, at least for me, because I can't read. But yeah. All good? 2 thumbs up? All right, let's keep going then. Let's see. Yeah, thank you. Thank you for saying that. Anywho, yeah, we'll talk about that when it comes up, but that will be a thing. All right, Retrieve only the last character with string. Okay, so let's go ahead and do that one. So it says retrieve only the last 3 characters. So I'm going to say let last character, and it needs to get the length, or it gets the last character. Well, how can we do that? How can we get the last character of str? Who can tell me maybe what we can do?
Slice function.
The slice function, that is one way. We could do dot slice, and then we can put some parameters in there. Let's talk about one more way. If I told you to get the last value out of an array, what would we do? Last value out of an array, what would we use?
Is it pop or
That's how we would remove it.
Oh, okay.
Slice.
So how would if I told you it wasn't even a method that we could use? That how I'm thinking, and we'll look at these other ways. Say that again, Tyler.
Some form of bracket notation.
We could do, oh yeah, there's only one form of bracket notation. It's with those brackets. But no, I like it. We're gonna use bracket notation. It's what goes inside that bracket that can be unique. Now we don't have an I here, and this string could be length of 0 to 3, so we don't exactly know where the last character lives. But what property could we use that will always know the length of your string? Damn it, I just said it. Dang it, I just said it. String.length. And then I know that my array, my length will be, if I have an array of 5 values, my length is going to be 5, but my last index will be 4. So I need to subtract by 1 here. So this is how we can actually get the last character. Now I also heard possibly using slice. We can do that too. It'd be str.slice. And then it would have to tell it still what character to get off there. We'd still have to do str.length minus 1. So that's how we can use slice also. If we wanted to use pop, technically we could do that too. We'd do str.split to actually make it into a true array. You know what, actually, let's see if, I actually don't know if pop exists on the string or not, because technically it's an array, but technically it's not. Ooh, what a conundrum. All right. That'd be fun. Let's do that. But technically it'd be pop. We might have to split it too. Let's just split just in case. But I do want to try that out in the future. So we'd split it into an array, and then we'd pop it, and then we catch it. So these are 3 different ways we could technically get that last character. Now, any questions on this one? All right, we'll try these out here in a second and see how they each look. Let's go down to part C here. Retrieve only the first, last character. Okay, no, I was wrong. I'm not crazy. Retrieve only the first 3 characters from strings with lengths larger than 3. All right, well, this one's gonna be interesting then. So this is gonna be let first 3 chars equals, and then str, and now I really like that slice idea. Slice idea. And we need to start at 0 and go to 3. Remember, it's j minus 1. So technically it's going to get index 0 to 2 in our string. What we just did is slice out a nice piping hot 3 characters of our string that's passed in. That's what we just did there on that line. Now, everyone's probably like, show me the money. Like, what is actually going on? So I also want to see that. So let's go ahead, and what we're going to do is we're going to return stuff here. So we're going to say in this if statement, we're going to return last char. Down here, we're going to return first 3 characters. There we go. And now outside of the function, define a variable str and initialize it with string. Okay. So that's what we'll do. And it's just really big, isn't it? There you go. Let str my string equal function rocks. All right, so this is gonna be larger than 3. So we're gonna say, what was that function name? Get last character. Oh, we're gonna say get characters, because it's not always last characters. Sometimes the first character. So we're gonna say get characters. Again, it has to be descriptive, so I actually know what's going on. So I'm gonna console log my get characters. my string. There we go. All right, so what should be returned here? Who can tell me what the correct output should be of this? Who's got it? Oh, come on. We got this.
That's fun.
What was that?
The first 3 letters, fun.
It should be fun, right? This is going to be fun. All right. We're going to run this, and we're getting it back fun. Isn't that fun? We properly did this. What it did is it came in here. It said, is the string length less than 3? Well, function rocks is definitely more than 3 characters. So it's going to nope. It's going to go down to else. So it came down here to the else. It's going to get those first 3 characters using slice. So we slice 0 to 2. Technically, it says 0 to 3, but remember J minus 1. So we're going to get index 0, 1, and 2 from the string. And then we returned it. It returns it back, and we console log it. So there we go. We got that. Let's go ahead and just do fun then. What's going to happen there? What are we going to get back for that one? Hopefully. Who can tell me what the last character of fun is?
And
thank you. All right. Wake up, everybody. We're almost done. Stay in there.
do we absolutely need to do a variable? Like you're doing the let my string, no, because you're passing in a variable, but do you absolutely need to do that?
No, but it's always nice to, in case you need this one later. So I'm a OCD kind of person, but no, you can definitely just pass in fun there and you still get n. It's great to see exactly how those, remember that variables can be passed into things instead of just hard coding, AKA just writing fun in there. That's why I usually do variables. Hard coding is very dangerous. So not dangerous as in it's going to break anything, just because it doesn't give us as much practice with variables as typically we should when we're first starting out. But yeah, this will definitely work. So yeah, either one. All right. Any other questions on this? I'm going to go ahead and we're going to do fun. And what I'm going to do is actually, I'm going to take our examples up here. We're going to do this one, and we're going to see if we get the same exact answer. So you said slice. We still need to do that slice there. We're going to run that. We still get n back. Let's go ahead and keep our way going our way down. And we said this one as well. Let's go ahead and see what happens there. We still get back n. Out of Kyle's curiosity, we're going to see what we can do with dot pop. Oh, dang it. All right. Hunch confirmed. We cannot do that, because dot pop does not exist on a string. It only exists on arrays. So there we go. All right. So that is it. That's all they got for that one. Let's keep going. Now test your function. So that function, okay, we did 5 and now on to 6, our last one. Define a function with stuff. Let's find the area of a rectangle. Ah, the worst. Is equal with length x. All right, let's go and see a look at it. Gonna fork it. Everybody still with me? Are we still there? Kinda. Go grab coffee. Who doesn't need coffee at basically 9 p.m.? I know, right? All right, anyway, the area of the rectangle is equal to its length x width. All right. To its length, is that right? I guess so. I've failed math a few times. All right. Define a function that and the required parameters to calculate the area of a rectangle. The function should return the area, not print it. All right, so I'm gonna say function get area of a rectangle. And it's gonna take in the, it's length x, okay, I get it, it's length times width. I was like, that's what I thought the area was. It's not just, yeah, okay. So we need 2 parameters here. We need a length and we need a width. I'm a programmer. I don't need to do geometry or all those mathematical fancy stuff. Got calculators for that now. All right. We have our function get area of a rectangle. We're taking in 2 parameters. I called it length and width. The area of a rectangle is the length times the width, as we already have discussed. So we can say let area equal length times width. So time I multiply something, we always use that asterisk. So there we go. And then finally, we need to return the area, not print it. All right. So let's go ahead and test this real quick. We're gonna console log just get area of the rectangle. We're gonna say 5 by 10. There we go. We're gonna run that and we should get 50. We got 50. There we go. It's working. Fantastic. Let's keep going and see what else it needs. If only one argument is passed to the function, then the shape is a square. Modify the code to deal with this case. Oh, all right then. Just throw a wrench in all of this. So what it's saying is that if length is only passed and not width, then we need to multiply our length by our length, because it's going to be a square, meaning it just needs to multiply its length by the length, and that's how you get an area of a square. So we need a if statement to help us out with this case, because we got to check something. So we got to say if, and then can anyone tell me what we're actually going to check here?
As far as
how would we know that we need to treat it as a square instead of a rectangle? Again, if it's a square, they only pass in length. If it's a rectangle, they pass in length and width. So what should we check for?
Maybe check like if it does not have two parameters.
It needs to check if one of the parameters is missing, which I'll give it to you because that is definitely close enough. We need to check if width is missing. Now, if a variable has nothing in it, what is it called? What is it holding inside of it? If it's nothingness, what do we call that in JavaScript? We've seen it a few times now. We haven't talked too much about it. Does anybody know the word? It starts with a U.
Undefined.
Very good, undefined. We need to check if width is undefined, because if it's undefined, that means nothing was passed in. So we would say if width equals undefined, then we need to treat this thing as a square. I can't spell square. Otherwise, if it is defined, then we treat it as a rectangle. So that's what we got to do here. We got to put a check for that. So if it's a rectangle, we just return the area as such. Nothing changes. So we put that inside of our if statement. If it is a square, then we do length times length. So let's go ahead and make sure this is calculated. What I'm going to do is do a console log here and say it's a square, just so you guys believe me. And it's a rectangle. All right, let's go and run this and see what happens. I'm going to say get area of a rectangle, and I'm going to say 5 times 10 again. And you know what? We're not going to even console log the answer. We're just going to see what it is. It's a rectangle. There we go. Now, what if I just put 5 there? Well, then it's a square, because it's going to come in. Width is not there. It's nothingness, aka undefined. So it's going to come down here. Is width undefined? It's going to, yeah. So it's going to come down here. It's a square, and prepare its area and then return it. So let's go ahead and double check our values. We're going to console log that. I'm going to take out the console logs. It's a square and it's a rectangle. 5 times 10. We should get back 50 here. We got 50, and we should do just this. 5 times 5 is 25, and there we go. We get back 25. So that is how we deal with that kind of case. Our parameters, if it's not there, is undefined by default. Okay, so that's what we did here. We modified our case. Awesome possum. Call your area function and then use temperate literal to print out. Oh, you are so needy tonight. Okay, fine. We got to prepare that temperate literal. So my response equals, and then let's go ahead and do that. We're going to say, okay, so we're going to say let my area equals this, and we're going to say 5 times 10 as always. And then we need to create our temperate literal. So of course we start with the ticks, and it says the area is, and then we have to put in our variable. So we say $, curly bracket. It's a denote that it is a variable. And then we say my area, because that's what we want to put in there. Centimeters, little pointy thing up to the top, caret, whatever, semicolon, and then console log my response. Jeez. Moment of truth. I'm dying over here. The area is 50 centimeters squared. If we do just 5 in there again, we'll get 25. So yeah, we created our temperate literal with the values from our functions and then console logged it as our output to us, the user. So there we go. Let's go back over and just make sure that we got everything. We did get everything. So in that case, back over to this one. I'm going to open up for questions. What are y'all thinking about this? How does everyone feel?
With these functions, will it just take time to really get them narrowed down? They seem really difficult compared to everything we've done so far. Like I get the concept, I get like, you know, the parameters, I get the argument and everything, but just implementing everything into it sometimes gets a little tricky.
Yeah, if it's any help, think of them as mini programs themselves. You've been writing programs. If you're comfortable with writing programs without functions, think now you're just writing minier ones within these functions. That's what you're doing. The same implementations that you've been doing hold true even within functions. Now, instead of just one giant replit, you're having mini replets inside of it.
Yeah, that makes sense. Thank you.
So, but it will also take time. I mean, this is a very complex topic that we're covering, and complex meaning that it can be used in multiple different ways, as we just saw. Parameters can be used and everything like that. So, of course, this is a lot of information you're getting at one time. So, yeah, just give it time and just practice on your own to enhance your own knowledge. Great. Any other questions, concerns, comments, cookie recommendations, anything at all? I'm feeling chocolate chip tonight. Not even a cookie recommendation. All right, well, everyone seems to be tired then. In that case, that is all we have here for this studio. So thank you for, as always, working with me to the very end.